Have you ever tried to divide two cookies between four people? Or how about one whole pizza between eight people? There are certain situations wherein we do not have enough objects for everyone, and in these times, we split things into equal parts. For instance, instead of giving everyone a whole cookie, because there are only two cookies and there are four people, we give everyone half a cookie. Or instead of giving everyone a whole pizza, because there's only one pizza and eight people, we give them a slice of the pizza. These two things, these parts of a whole, are what's known in the math community as a fraction. And fractions can get very tricky and difficult if you do not know where to start. Which is why here in the LRC, we have made a specific playlist comprised of videos talking about all the basics of fraction that you will need to pass your math test or your math quiz and brag to your friends about how good you are in math. So welcome back to the LRC, where we're starting off today with our first episode, Parts of a Fraction. Okay, now that I'm done with the introduction, let's move on to what a fraction means. Now, a fraction just means a part of a whole. To show you what that looks like, we have over here a whole pizza. It's called the whole pizza because there have been no slices taken out, there have been no toppings taken out. It is simply a regular pizza and nothing has been done to it. However, if we were to slice the pizza into equal slices and take one of those slices out, we would instead have a part of what was once a whole, unchanged pizza. And this part of that pizza would be known as a fraction. So this slice over here, since it is only a part of the whole pizza, it would be known as a fraction of the pizza. Now, a fraction is made up of multiple different parts, two namely. The first part is the numerator. Now, the numerator is the top number of the fraction, and it shows us how many equal parts of the whole we have. And the denominator is the bottom part of the fraction, which showcases how many equal parts the entire whole is made out of. Just to showcase this example again, we have another pizza. This time, it's already split into its equal parts. As you can see here, I've put some numbers to count how many equal parts we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Because we have 8 equal parts, and 8 equal parts is how many parts the entire pizza is made out of, that would be our denominator, because 8 is the amount of slices it would take to make this whole pizza. However, since we're taking away this first slice, presumably to eat, the rest of the pizza is just made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6, 7 slices of the pizza because this eighth one has already been eaten. That makes it our numerator, or how many equal parts of the whole we have. Because once we eat this eighth slice, we will only have 7 slices remaining of the pizza. In other words, we would have 7/8 of a pizza remaining. To read fractions, you have to read it from bottom to top. So you say the numerator first, then the denominator, then add THS. But that's more of a grammar thing. Okay, now that I'm done talking about the components of a fraction, it's time to talk about our last topic, which is the types of a fraction. Now, there are three types of fractions. The first one is probably the first thing you think about when you think of the word fraction. These are when the numerator is smaller than the denominator. For instance, 1/8, 5/6, 3/7, and even our pizza example over here, 7/8, because 7 is smaller than 8, meaning that it is a proper fraction. However, we have different types of fractions. For instance, we have the improper fractions wherein the numerator is bigger than the denominator. Now, this might be hard to picture, but just to make it a bit easier, take 13/8, right? That's basically like saying you have the whole pizza, like earlier, but instead of having 7 slices, you have 13 slices, which means you could make a whole pizza and still have some slices left over. That's the only thing that's a bit weird about improper fractions. However, we have to get into the hardest version, which is the mixed fraction. Now, the mixed fraction looks a bit weird, but basically, it's just trying to combine these fractions with whole numbers to make it so that the right side would be a proper fraction and the left side would have the number of wholes you could make. Now, you may be wondering how any of this actually works, and namely how mixed fractions and improper fractions are related, because both of these are describing the same thing. And to use an analogy for this, let's say you have this improper fraction, right? You would have 13 slices of pizza, and it would all just be individual. They would all remain 13 slices of pizza. What a mixed fraction does is it says that since a pizza is made out of 8 slices, you could actually make one whole pizza, and have 5 slices left over. Okay, now that I'm done explaining the logic behind how most of this works, it's time to explain the process as to how a improper fraction can turn into a mixed fraction. Now, just to put it in plain terms, the way in which you can change this improper fraction into this mixed fraction is by dividing the numerator by the denominator, in this case, dividing 13 by 8. Now, the reason why it has to be division is because division puts things into groups. Let's say you have like let's say these are apples, right? Let's say you have 6 apples, but you want to put them into groups of 3. Um, all you really have to do is get 6 and divide it by 3 to figure out how many groups of 3 you can make with these 6 apples you're given. In this case, it's 2. It's 2. And as you can see in the physical example, right, you can group the 6 apples into 2 groups of 3. Now, the reason why that's relevant is uh, because we know that a pizza, like a whole pizza, is made up of 8 slices. All we really have to do is figure out how many groups of 8 slices are in 13, which is exactly what division helps us figure out. So, knowing that, let's do the long division process. First, we know that one group of 8 is able to fit in 13, so we put 1 up top and we minus 13 by 8. And then we get this number. Now, 5 isn't just something you throw away, 5 is something known as the remainder. So, you put the remainder up here. So, it's 1 remainder 5. Um, but since we're dealing with fractions, and since we're trying to make it a mixed fraction, all we really have to do is use these like extra slices, the slices left over, and make it into a proper fraction by saying, since there are 5 slices left over in a pizza that is comprised of 8 equal slices, we would make 5 the numerator and 8 the denominator. Because of the same logic we used for this, right? Because we know that we lack 3 slices to make a whole pizza. Our numerator would be 5 because that's how many equal parts of the whole we have. And the denominator would remain 8 because that's still how many slices it would take to make a whole pizza. So yeah, that's how you would change something like this, the improper fraction, into a mixed fraction. You just divide the numerator by the denominator. That was a bit of a hard to understand solution and explanation. So you're always free to like replay this video to try and figure out what I mean by certain things. And you're also free to comment any questions you may have. I'd say that I'm pretty active on YouTube, so I'll still be able to respond to anything or any queries you have. But in general, that's it for today's video. We don't really have anything else to discuss. So that is Parts of a Fraction, our first episode in this new series. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I hope you guys watched till the end. The practice problems are always going to be in the description below, as well as the answer key. So if you want to sharpen your skills, make sure to check that. And I'll see you guys in the next video. LRC out.